Well, our guys did a good job this weekend being able to get 2 out of 3. We just really, again, have to solve that last one. We got to get some people to step up out of the bullpen and help us. But I thought overall, Jack pitched very well. AP behind him was good. Brandon got chased, but we got to get better there. Again, walks, but then having Jay Schultz in middle relief, that's his best role. I think that's where he's suited at. I think in game 1 and 2, if Brandon can come back strong for us this Saturday, because we're going to go Burke and him again. We finally got some guys lined up that I just think if we had enough depth in this bullpen, they're lined up in their best roles. I like AP where he's at. I think he's really good in that role. When people have to swing to get back into a game, he reminds me a lot of Andy Groh when Andy Groh pitched. When people had to swing their way back into the game, they had to swing at a changeup, and that's hard to do. I hate when we face a guy with a real good changeup and we have to swing our way back into the game. So I think he's good there, and then I think Jay Schultz's best role is in middle relief. It's hard to find good middle relievers. I believe he's a good middle reliever. But when you lack some depth, without a closer, Grant Cox did a great job for us. He's been pitching very well in middle relief for us. He was able to shut down and get those last couple outs for us on Saturday. And then Sunday we scored again, enough runs to win. Our hitters have done a good job. They stumbled out of the gate early, but now, Lahare's getting healthy, healthy as he's ever been. That's a big issue. And so he's come back strong for us. So, again, when you go in there and throw a shutout on a Friday night at Coastal Carolina, that's not easy to do, and hold them down after 2 games to a 209 batting average. That's not easy to do. And so, again, Sunday, the walks again. That's what got us. So, that's in the past. Now we've got to move on. Got a lot of stuff this week to deal with. Finals. Friday we'll get the guys graduated that are graduating. Saturday we'll do the senior walk, and then Sunday all the mothers will throw out the first pitch on Mother's Day. And potentially we have some bad weather coming in too. So we got a lot of stuff working this weekend. But our guys, just need to stay focused through this and be ready to go and get our seniors out of here. Hopefully the right way we need to get them out on a winning note, not only this weekend, but to continue to, reach our goal of getting in this conference tournament and getting there and hopefully getting them out of here with something better than just making their conference tournament.
I'm sure you've thought about this, and I haven't really, but 2-0 versus 3-0, or getting 2 games in versus 3 games in, how important is that considering the situation?
You mean weather-wise? Important. We need to play as many as we can. So that's one good thing about having the turf over there. He was a little worried because of having a grass field, but everything worked out right to get that 3rd game in. So hopefully this weekend, it's still a little early to look at the weather. Our weather can change, in just one day, much less 3 or 4. So we'll take a look at everything, and we're going to do everything we can to try to get in, those 3 games.
You've obviously already made your decision, but just trying to get into the dynamics in terms of the risk in comparing trying to get through a game 1 or 2 without Austin, and Austin being the game 3 starter compared to him helping you get into 1 and 2 and not really knowing who your game 3 is, even going to a conference tournament scenario.
No doubt. I mean, that's the lack of depth issue, and that's why we were hoping that, eventually along the way Gunnar would make it back because he could solve that issue for us maybe, but because it's weekend to weekend and the innings and the time back for him has not allowed him to come back out and be a starter. So you are right, there is risk reward there, but I feel we have to go after game 1 and win it. From there, I like the way we're set up for game 1 and 2. Brandon's got to give us a little bit more, which I think he can, but it just puts us vulnerable on Sunday. And either way, even if you start him on Sunday, I think by that time he's still vulnerable out of the back end of the bullpen too. I mean, our bullpen came in and gave up 8 runs. That's our biggest issue is we can't find somebody that can stand up out of the bullpen. If we could do that and leave Perrin there 100%, you wouldn't have to play with things, you know. But it is what it is. I think you got to, we have to now try to win every game in that order. Win game 1, do what we have to do, win game 2, and then see where we are on Sunday. And one good thing, our hitters have really stepped up and helped us, put us in a position. I mean, that's a winnable game on Sunday. If anybody comes out of the bullpen and has relevant work. So we'll just have to see. But I'd love to just, let Perrin, I know he wants to start too. Probably all pitchers want to start. I just personally like him where he's at. I just think if we knew starting this season we would lack depth with pitching. We knew that. We lost 7 guys to the pros in demo. So 8 arms in 2 years. So we knew we'd have it. We felt that we'd have to cover it up with hitting. We felt that we had age on the hitting side. So just to give you a brief snippet of how we got here, when we got out of the gate, we started slow with hitting. And then from there, we started having the injuries of all the age. And then we blow out our closer. If we would still have Bradford with us right now, I think he'd definitely make a difference. And I think if Gunnar could take Friday night, that's a big difference maker. But those things are gone, so what it's done is it's impacted using younger arms and using people out of roles. Like, I like Perrin behind a starter. I think when you piggyback him, I think that's where he's at his best. Has he done well as a starter? Yeah. And would I start him? Yes. But I just like him there. And then I like Schultz as a middle reliever, not a closer. But we've had to, along the way, close him and start him. Grant Cox has been consistent in middle relief for us, especially when we've gotten behind. He's stopped the bleeding, and he's stopped the scoring. On Sunday, everybody that came out kept the scoring going. And the biggest challenge is that they keep the scoring going without people swinging the bat. You'd think that can't happen, right? If you don't swing the bat, you can't score. That's not true. In one inning, we walked like 3 people, and they got 1 hit. But it did damage. Yes, I'd love Perrin to start. If we can get out to a big lead or something and we can manipulate it, I would. But I don't want to play around too much when you got a chance to take game 1. We kind of, when we brought him up and put him in this one, and then we kind of blew the game out after he got in the next 2 innings. So it was a unique thing. He had already gotten up and running. He was already dealing with a little tender bicep. Had taken an anti-inflammatory, so we didn't want to sit him back down and then try to start him on Sunday. I think all this moving of him and all of his routines probably has led to that tender bicep. So right now we got him in behind Jack. He knows to get prepared on Fridays and be ready to go.
How do you guys have just a big picture, but also a little picture mindset in terms of, like you said, not looking too far ahead in the standings, but also focus on being in front of you?
Yeah, right now we're not looking at any standings. Trying not to look back. What we're trying to do is just try to beat people pitch by pitch, inning by inning, and game by game. And that's what we think we have to do, and not get caught into looking elsewhere or who we play in or what their record is. I'm sure Coastal looked at our record. You have to be careful with records. Like I said, the Red Sox started off really slow, but if you went back and looked at real numbers, their starters' ERAs was high 4s. Their bullpen was high 4s. Now they've turned it completely around. But if you go back and look at their ERAs now, the starters' ERAs are 2.4 something, and the bullpen's 2.3 something. I mean, people try to make so much out of things in baseball when yet a lot of times the numbers don't lie. And that's what's scary about your record, is because sometimes you end up being who your record says you are. We're trying not to be who our record says we are at this point in time. This weekend, we're able to do that 2 out of 3 times. And then consistency came back and got us out of the bullpen late. That is solvable in one way if these guys would just throw strikes. It's something that it is in some cases lack of experience. It is some cases that baseball can take you through there. You look at how good Sale is, but look at what start he got off to. I mean, I think a guy had a 6 or something ERA the other day, right? I mean, so baseball can be baseball sometimes, and but we're going pitch by pitch, game by game, and we just got to handle all of what's in front of us this week. You know, this week we got to get out of town. They were together. We knew what we had to handle. You know, Coastal Carolina. We felt we can score runs, and I said it last week before we left. I feel good on the road. We've swung the bat well there. We have swung the bat well here too, but we do swing the bat well on the road. We'll finish on the road, which is I say a good thing. We swing the bat well on the road, so that doesn't worry me. This week you've got finals, senior day, Mother's Day, graduation, and bad weather. So those are the things we're going to have to deal with. And right now we're not looking at the record. We know what it is. What we're really trying to focus on is the hitters. Stay doing what you're doing. Coastal's kind of fighting what we're fighting. They've been not as consistent as they want to be as a standard like us, but a lot of that is their pitching. Pitching can do that to you. I've said it till I'm blue in the face, and I'm sure being here so long, people hate when I say it, but it starts with pitching. That's why he's 10 inches higher than everybody else on the field. When you got a dude up on that dirt, you're going to be good. And when you're up on that dirt throwing balls, you're not going to be good. So, and then you suck the life out of your hitters. That's what they doing from time to time. Their pitchers suck the life out of their hitters. It's reversed. Early in the year, the hitters were kind of sucking the life out of the pitchers. Now we've kind of going into Friday and Saturday, I feel really good because of the guys that are set up properly, from Perrin to Cox and to Jay Schultz. We just need the starters to get us off to a good start. We can even maybe recover a little bit. Armstrong's been very good at cleaning up innings and then not going back into the game. Where he gets in a little trouble is he'll clean an inning up and go back out. So we're going to try to keep him trying to clean up an inning. If we got good middle relief behind him like Jay Schultz, I think he's a real good guy to clean the inning, because what happens with these lot of young kids, as you notice, they can't clean up an inning. They throw gas on the fire, and then they put the fire out 2 innings later. And that don't do you no good. You need somebody that can come in right away and clean up the inning. So I feel good with Armstrong underneath, and I really feel good how the setup is Friday, Saturday. But to get that all set up properly, it puts you vulnerable on Sunday.
Is Gunnar done? Also, would you consider using him as an opener, since it seems the first inning seems to be an issue on Sundays?
I would consider that. If he can get back, yeah. Right now it's weekend to weekend. And this weekend he was scratched. So it'll be weekend to weekend. And but you are right. It's going to now be limited. So, do you let him go out and get you off to a good start, or do you close him? Those would be the 2 things you'd have to deal with. But yeah, I would do that, definitely.
Lahare, I know there are a lot of guys swinging it well, but what is having him back do for the overall line?
Well, it helps us enormously because, he can do more than just play first base. He can head out to the outfield for us if we need to. And one good thing, he's been able to handle first base because of that labrum. They've strengthened everything else around the labrum. He's never going to throw like he once did, but he can throw. And so by being able to play first base has even been a bigger weapon for us because that's where the need was. That's where the opening was. And then having Brennan Bro and Vaillant, guys that can really roam in the outfield, that's helped us too. Because when you take that kind of center fielder off your field, a lot of people can't recover, and put another guy back in there. But being able to put Bro right back in after pulling a guy out like Lahare has helped us too. So Danny's an energy guy. He plays hard. He's a guy that would have made a difference if he was in the lineup every day, but at least he's back now, and he's healthy as he's ever been. That high ankle sprain is fully gone. That hand is healed up, and that labrum's going to always be there because it's torn. But we've strengthened or tried to strengthen everything else around that tear to help him. So it's been a big weapon for us, and now. He's also hitting left-handed pitching and right-handed pitching. That's been big too.
What's dangerous about Georgia State in terms of they found a number of different ways to win, but obviously they lost as well.
Well, I think the biggest danger is just us. We have to stay focused on us. You got to be careful looking at teams' records. They've got some good arms, and they got pride. They've got 11.7 scholarships. They have $300 baseball bats. And as I tell our players all the time, the minute you see a guy come up to the plate without a bat, we can take him for granted. And my 31 years, I've never seen a guy come up to the plate without a bat. So we've got to make sure that we stay focused, I think, and don't let something be a trap game with weather, all the stuff that's going on, finals. You got to be able to work through all that, but they understand the urgency. They understand where we're at. They've kind of gotten through the disappointment of not living up to the standard that we want to live up to, and understanding that now to really do something about this, we got to get away from who we once were, get on to what we can be, and finish the way we think we can finish. But to do that, I think you got to go inning by inning, pitch by pitch, and game by game, and that's what they're going to try to do this weekend.
Have you figured out why the bats are different on the road as opposed to home? Is it dimensions or competition?
Our ballpark does play a little bigger, the ballparks we've been in. Hitters are unique cats like pitchers. When they take BP on Thursday night's practice or Friday, if it's a ballpark that the ball carries in, they believe they can hit. Here you can step on some balls and it's an out. And so our ballpark plays a little differently than a lot of ballparks. You get a north wind out here blowing out or something, it can play small. But for most part, our ballpark's a pitcher's ballpark. And I think we got some fields in the league like Monroe. That's a hitter's ballpark in my opinion. We always hit well there. Coastal Carolina, you could hear them talking all the way in that, it's a good ballpark to hit in. So I think that's what happens. Huntsville, the wind was blowing out. Sam Houston State all 3 days. It played, bless you. So I think that's kind of the difference maker. And then I also think there's one little piece in there of a standard and some pressure of being at home, knowing the standard you want to live up to, knowing if you're not living up to it. And every team's differently. I could give you some players that don't care about a fan. I mean, they didn't care. Then you got some teams that they've got guys on the team that are people pleasers. They want to please the people. They want to please the fans. Those guys, they're all different kind of guys. The guys that don't care, sometimes you wish they'd care a little more. On the other hand, it sometimes works out good for them because they don't care about certain stuff. And then you got other guys that their feelings, are a little bit more on their sleeves. Everybody's differently. So I think there's just a little piece that they want to do good. They want to live up to their standard. They understand that. They understand we built an $18.5 million stadium. I mean, you don't want to build a restaurant and not have the food ready. So, I mean, they understand that too. And I think sometimes that can get them in trouble. I've had some Dudley Do-Rights, before where, they want to please everybody. and they get down when they don't. And then some people look at that as quitting. I mean, I've had some guys before puking in trash cans, man, before the game because they cared so much. Sometimes when you see a guy drop his head, some people think, you know, man, he's a quitter. Some guys aren't. People pleasers get down on themselves. And it's not a great quality. It's a good quality because they care, but they have to manage it properly. And I've had some other players in the past. They don't care how much you donated. They don't care how much you spent on that seat. They could consider just don't care about you. I mean, they care about them. That's a good quality too sometimes to have. If you can get a mix of it, it's pretty good. But then you can also get heavy on one side, and then now I think you have a few issues to kind of deal with. But I think there's just a little piece of that, but I also believe that the ballparks we play in, they talk. I can hear them when you take BP, when they step on a ball and they didn't hit it good, but it gets off the wall or something in BP, it fuels their belief system too. So I think it's a mixture of things, not just one thing.
So how close are you now as a staff to just, okay, who we gonna start Sunday, pulling it out of a hat? I mean, how close are you to that?
That's
Really kind of where you are.
that's almost, oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. It's
What's gonna go into that decision for Sunday?
you know, Gunner would be a good choice if that would work out. On the other hand, just a matter of seeing what you have left from Friday and Saturday. It might be a mixture of taking 2 to 3 arms and, you know, trying to give a guy 2 innings and another guy 2 innings and another guy maybe an inning or 2. We have a tendency sometimes, with lack of experience, of getting out of an inning. So sometimes you got to let some guys have a clean inning. They pitch a little better in clean innings. So we might have to adjust out. You can bring Armstrong in and bad stuff. You can bring a couple guys in and bad stuff, Grant Cox. But then some of them, you know, it's tough. They can't get out. They can't stop the spinning. But they can go back out the next inning and throw you a good inning. And that's the Jekyll and the Hyde and experience, right? We might have to take a look at that and then try to sense that and then try to pitch that away on Sunday.